JK Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, one of the most successful writers of all time, and sadly, one of the most hated people on Twitter right now. Now you may be asking yourself questions right now, like, why is this? How did this happen? Is JK Rowling really cancelled? What is a terf? Is Barack Obama a lizard? Or you're thinking about how outdated this video idea is, but shut up. We're talking about it. We're going to be discussing the downfall of JK Rowling. Now this whole topic of JK Rowling has two distinct parts to it. There's the Harry Potter drama, and there's the feminism controversy, and of course I'll be talking about both. Beginning with the Harry Potter side because, well, it happened first. So this all started in 2007 after the release of Deathly Hallows, and JK Rowling was on an all-time high. But then she stated out of nowhere that Dumbledore was gay, and that he had been gay all along, and fans were just like, what the fuck? Where does it say anywhere that he was in love with Grindelwald? Where? It definitely didn't say this in the books, and people sort of got the feeling that she was only saying this to try to make her franchise seem inclusive, which by itself isn't a bad thing. It's not a sin to try to change some things in your story to make it more inclusive, especially in a time where inclusiveness was becoming much more prevalent. She is the author, she can make these decisions. However, it was more the fact that she pretended that her books were inclusive all along, because that's just not the case. If Dumbledore had been gay all along, and if it were an actual significant part of his character like she's saying, then it would have been in the books. However, most people let it slide. It was weird, but let her do her thing, you know? But then Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald came out, and this was finally her chance to show Dumbledore as gay, because in a film about Grindelwald and Dumbledore, I think their relationship is pretty important. But all we got was a one-off line that didn't even fully confirm it. Dumbledore just said that they were more than brothers, which, thinking about Rowling's intention, is a bit sketchy. However, JK Rowling had the audacity to say that they had a passionate relationship after the film had already come out. Well then why didn't you show the relationship as passionate? She is definitely not a Gryffindor because bravery isn't a quality she has. In her mind, her books are inclusive, but she doesn't write them that way. But she thinks she does. It just feels like she's scared to actually include a gay couple into her story because there are homophobic people, more than you'd realize, who wouldn't watch the movies because of it. But so what? That makes no sense. She said through her words that she's not afraid to be inclusive, but then why isn't she being inclusive? Her words do not match her actions. Now, JK Rowling didn't just stop with making Dumbledore gay. No, she went above and beyond to make her series more inclusive, even though she never wrote them this way. When the play that wasn't even written by her, The Cursed Child, which by the way is horrible, but we'll talk about that another day, they recast Hermione as black, which there is no problem in whatsoever. The actress who played Hermione is very talented, and if she was the best person for the job, then she should get the job. It's not a bad thing that the Cursed Child cast was more inclusive than the Harry Potter cast. Good on them for trying to represent more races. Now first of all, JK Rowling started bashing the people who were against Black Hermione, which is a good thing. But then she said that she had never explicitly said that Hermione was white, and that she might as well have been black this whole time. But this just isn't true. Hermione is described as white in the books. JK Rowling herself stated that she was white. So why is she saying this? It doesn't make sense. Listen, there's nothing wrong with the way JK Rowling wrote her books. It's a magical school in Britain. It's natural if the majority of people are white. Now if Hogwarts was located in Ghana and all the characters were still white, then that would be weird and just wrong. But that's not what happened. Yes, in Britain you do see people of different ethnicities quite a lot, and this is still mirrored to some small extent in Harry Potter with characters like Dean, Angelina Johnson, and the Patil twins. Harry Potter has major themes in discrimination and racism, and it's a magical journey that has taught so much to so many people. Could it have had more representation? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's okay to have written Hermione as white, and it's also okay to accept her as black later on, but don't pretend it was your intention from the beginning. We all see straight through these lies, and people lose their respect for you. Now believe it or not, she didn't stop there. When asked if there were any Jewish kids at Hogwarts, she said yes, and went on to state the most stereotypical Jewish name possible, Anthony Goldstein. When Nagini was shown to be an Asian woman and also a circus slave, yeah, good one, Joan. But when this was revealed, someone asked her on Twitter how long she'd been planning this, and she said 20 years. What the fuck? 20 years ago, we barely even knew about Nagini. Absolute bullshit. And it's so plain to see what she's doing. No one believes her. Why is she still doing this? It doesn't make sense. She has become a laughingstock within the Harry Potter franchise. Now all these things, along with several more shocking retcons such as Dumbledore's long-lost brother and the fact that wizards and witches used to shit themselves, have turned JK Rowling into an excessive liar that has ruined her own image and lost the respect of most Harry Potter fans. It's honestly hilarious. The fans have just taken over her role as owner of Harry Potter. The fandom now decides what is and what isn't Harry Potter, and that's fucking phenomenal. However, JK Rowling has gone beyond just messing with the Harry Potter franchise. She went political. Now I'm sure you've all heard of the whole JK Rowling is a TERF thing. And to those of you who don't know what a TERF is, no, it's not the epic TERF with a U, it's with an E, and it stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. Essentially, she's transphobic. It all started last December when she came out in support of Maya Forstater, who got fired for having transphobic views. Now ever since then, JK Rowling has pretty much been leading the charge against transgender people, stating that sex is biological, not something you can identify with. Although expressing that she does indeed know and love transgender people, she sparked a lot of controversy by making transgender women feel horrible about themselves through quite demoralizing tweets and claiming that it's all in the name of feminism. Additionally, she promoted a brand on Twitter that makes transphobic merch that says shit like "fuck your pronouns, trans women are men, notorious transphobe, and member of TERF." Yeah, alright, you love transgender people, Joan. To further stir the pot, in one of her novels from her alter ego, Robert Galbraith, the murderer is a man who dresses as a woman, and you really do just get the feeling that there's a TERF motive behind it, and that's very sus. Other than that, she's been criticized even by the very people who were helped to stardom by her books. Like Daniel Radcliffe, who said that transgender women are women. Any statement to the contrary erases the identity and dignity of transgender people and goes against all advice given by professional healthcare associations who have far more expertise on the subject matter than either Joe or I. See, Joan, you helped raise a wise and intelligent man. You could learn from that. Now, I'm not gonna get too much into the intricacies of her TERF ideas because I'd want to do hours and hours of research to be able to accurately discuss this issue with credibility. And since carefully thought out political videos isn't really my style, I'm not gonna do that. Instead, I will say this. Joan, you wrote the Harry Potter franchise, a series of books that has helped countless children and teenagers, including me, find solace in a faraway world. A place in which we could identify as something else. You helped us grip into our imaginations and find escapism from our own lives. You taught us to love ourselves. You taught us that we can forge our own destinies, and you taught us that love is the most powerful thing in the world. Where's the love gone? You wrote a fantastic series of books about overcoming discrimination and racism, and you at least tried to make them more inclusive. So why are you supporting a political view that discriminates and excludes certain people from society? Intentional or not, you're telling some people that they can't be who they want to be and that they have to be who society says they are. It's contradictory to the morals that you taught a whole generation. That is the downfall of JK Rowling. The thing is, at the end of the day, JK Rowling is just an author who shares her political views on Twitter. You may not agree with them, but she's not a politician. She doesn't have the power to make these views a reality, and I thank God she doesn't. Naturally, she has been a role model to a lot of kids growing up these past 20 years, and she should know better than to bully people based on the gender they identify with. But you don't need to stop watching, reading, and loving Harry Potter just because you don't agree with the author's political views. You can still love Harry Potter all the same. The franchise itself isn't messed up and discriminatory. Quite the opposite. Listen, what I'm trying to say is that if we stopped consuming a media based on the political views of the person who made it, then we'd stop watching and reading a lot of things. JK Rowling is just the most notorious of these questionable authors. For example, Tolkien was a white Englishman who lived in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. There's a good chance that he was part of the racist society back then. But does that stop me and millions of others from loving The Lord of the Rings? No, of course it doesn't. Now this may be a bad example because there's a difference between being racist in a time where racism was normal. You were quite possibly raised to think a certain way, which is still a flaw, but just slightly more understandable. Whereas JK Rowling is being a TERF in a time of enlightenment. A time where she really should know better. Maybe Notch is a better example. Now Notch, the creator of Minecraft, has been caught on Twitter and various other places giving out homophobic, transphobic and racist comments and viewpoints, which led to his name being completely omitted from having anything to do with Minecraft anymore after Microsoft bought Mojang. But my point is that we haven't stopped playing Minecraft just because its original creator is a bad person. No, it's still a fantastic game, and just like Harry Potter, it has transcended its own creator and thrives far away from the political views of these people. What I'm trying to say is that we just need to make sure we separate the author from the books. Don't hate on the franchise just because the author has gone rogue. They're still phenomenal books, and she didn't write them at the same stage of her life as she is now. You can still like Harry Potter and dislike JK Rowling, that's fine. It's advised, because the beautiful franchise doesn't have to suffer because of her ignorance. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I know this is more political than we're used to, but I feel like it's an important topic to discuss. But if you did enjoy and you want more, then please do leave a like and subscribe for future content. It helps out a lot. Also, please leave your own opinions on JK Rowling down in the comments. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful day, stay safe, and peace out.